What's going on, everybody? D-Style Boxing here. You're welcome to the 74th edition of the Round Table. Been joined by the real KO Kenny. Kenny in the building from Mano a Mano. Check him out with Maestro every Monday on Maestro. Make sure you check that out. Joe B from Rayside Reporter. How's it going, Joe B? How's it going, brother? All right. Gail, how you doing? From nyfights.com. Check out our content. Check out our articles. That whole stuff. I think I saw you at the Ryan Garcia workouts. I think I saw you there.
You did.
Okay, I knew you were there. All right. And then, of course, Ashy Knuckles. Follow him on Twitter at A Puncher's Chance. How's it going, Ashy?
Doing good, man. Feeling good. How about yourself?
Doing good. Shout out to Lee Groves, round one. Mayo Figueroa already in the chat. How's it going, guys? Share this on all your social media platforms. Hit that like button. Let's go ahead and get this one started, okay? We're going to start off with this Kambosos Haney thing because it is official, okay? Top Rank just tweeted it out. They have the poster and everything. It's set. It's done. We're ready. I'm pumped. Gail, talk to us. The fight's official. What are your thoughts?
I like it. Sometimes the fight that wasn't the original plan is really the fight you need. I like this better than the Loma fight because it's a unification fight. That's, to me, the ultimate in boxing. That should be happening in every division. Props to these guys for getting it made. And props to Kambosos, who could have done the victory lap at home. None of us would have begrudged him that. He earned it. But nope, he's going right to the number one get that was important to him, the guy with the other belt. And props to Haney. He made it happen. He did it. He's there. There's a lot of guys who would have stood their ground about, no, I don't want to fly across the pond. He did. And he can shut up all the doubters with a win. And he can shut up all the gossip about the email belt. So it's just good news all around. Boxing needs more of both of these guys.
We'll go, Beeb. How are you feeling about it, brother?
A lot of people were doubting Devin Haney, 23 years old. They were questioning the opposition. Now he has the chance to show and prove, and I'm really happy that he's going to be going to Australia. I think just the fact that he's going overseas and he's going to have a rematch clause instilled in the contract as well, and he has to go right back to Australia if he wins. He really wanted to fight, and a lot of these other fighters can take note on what Devin Haney's doing because he's doing what we want all our champions to do, and he's going to go in there and he's going to leave no stone unturned. He's going to go in there and go for all the marbles. So I'm excited about the fight. I agree with Gail. I like this fight better than the Lomachenko fight because once again, we know Lomachenko can fight. He already has that resume. He's accomplished. This is a fight for Devin Haney that questions are going to be asked and they're going to have to be either answered or he's going to fizzle out, right? He's going to sink or swim in this one. So I'm looking forward to it.
I can't wait for this fight either. Kenny, talk to us, brother. It's official. The fight. What are your thoughts?
Very excited, man. I'm super excited for this fight. I've been waiting for Devin Haney to sign forever. I was one of those people that doubted that he was going to sign simply because after the I'll fight you in Jupiter talks and then talk about, oh, no, you got to come fight in the United States. So I was definitely one of those people that doubted that he was going to sign the contract. But I'm super excited that he did sign the contract. Very big of him. It's huge for the sport of boxing. Such a young man leading by example, showing these other big, old, tough top dogs, these older guys, what they need to do. Go across the pond and take the belts from the man that got the belts. Kambosos is the man. Haney's going into his house to go and be the man. That's what boxers need to do in today's age. So I'm very appreciative of what he did, signing the contract. And I'm not mad at Kambosos and his throne that he's on right now. I'm not mad at it either because, like I said, it may be his only opportunity to be on that throne and to be doing this A-side talk. So if it's going to be that way, might as well have his 6 months of, I'm the man, look at me, because at the end of the day, Haney is an official opponent, just like Teofimo, just that I don't think the mind games that he was playing with Teofimo are going to work on Haney. And I think that's everything that he was doing by not signing the contract for so long and taking his time with everything. And I'm the man, and all that. I think it's all mind games, and he's gonna continue doing it. It's annoying for some people, but it's working. I'm super excited.
I definitely agree. I'm excited for sure. Big Dog Lukey in the building. How's it going, brother?
What's up, y'all?
Hey, we're doing good. So big news. Top Rank just put it out, so that has to mean it's official, right? We got Kambosos versus Haney, Australia, undisputed lightweight. Well, what are your thoughts? What's going through your mind?
Is this a Lukey question?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Shout out to Gail. Shout out to my good friend Beeb, who I've known for years, haven't talked to in a while. It's great to see him.
Nice to see you, Lukey.
Yeah, man, it's great. I feel like getting old. I mean, I'm just excited for the fight. I don't care about any of the buildup or anything. I'll care about it fight week when they talk and stuff. But I mean, if we dissect the fight, there's a lot of pressure on both of these guys to perform really well. It's exciting. It's exciting when relevant fighters fight.
Okay. All right. Ashy, talk to us. The fight's official, brother. What's going through your mind? What do you think about it?
I'm actually quite excited that the fight is actually made. All of this back and forth banter, I'm sure it's going to continue as the fight builds up. You got to have something that's going to get people excited. Those who are not in the hardcore, who are naturally excited just by the signature being on contracts. But I think, it's a feather in Devin's cap being a young fighter, taking a page out of Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford's book, going across the pond to fight for a world title, fight a world champion for his title. In fact, I think Timothy Bradley did it when he fought Junior Witter, if I'm not mistaken. So, this is the things that great fighters do, even back in the throwback times. Fighters traveled abroad. I have gloves, I have shoes, we'll travel. So, it kind of reminds me of what old fighters used to do when they really wanted to be great. And they had to go, give up a lot of concessions, things that they normally wouldn't have to give up in order to push the fight through and make the fight happen. And he did that. And I can't wait to see it, man. It's a great fight. This is what boxing is made for, man. The best fighting the best. You got to sort it out in the ring, 1 to 12. You got 1 to 12 to get it done, and all that talking stays on Twitter.
All that talking, all that typing with those fingers stays on Twitter, that's for sure. Now, obviously, the fight's official, okay, which is good to see, obviously. All right. One thing, and I still kind of want to touch on it, is Kambosos, like his heel turn. He sounded like, to me anyway, this is my opinion, but he sounded like such a nice guy after he beat Teofimo. Teofimo was coming off as very unlikable to a lot of people as well, and then they thought, he shut up the young kid. Now we have this nice humble champion. In my opinion, that victory lap was going on for a little too long, in my opinion. Okay, that dude was running around. Okay, like he owned the world. Like he was talking about, I'm an emperor. I conquer kingdoms. Like, you have one big. It's a good win, great win, but that's calm down, all right. But nonetheless, he's kind of. And one can say maybe this is part of, like somebody might say the build up or whatever, but the way he's talking to Haney, like I know he signed it, but I'm still going to look over the contract to make sure there's no fake signatures, and you're going to do what I tell you. Okay, you're going to do what I say. I'm the A side. You do what you're told. Remember, I picked you. Is what he said. So I kind of want the panel's opinion about that. Like, do you think it's a big deal? Do you think he's doing it to sell the fight, or how do you personally feel about it? Okay, Ashley, to start with you, brother. How do you feel about it? About that attitude he's showing?
Normally when fighters get to talking back and forth, it is what it is. It's what fighters do. They don't just throw hands and beat each other up. Sometimes there's a lot of trash talk, and this is a little bit more of it. Now, Kambosos probably did it a bit more than what we like to see, but at the end of the day, it is what it is. Gamesmanship. If he can do what he have to do to get in your head to push the fight through and perhaps get you to fight out of character by the time the fight starts, he did his job and made help lead him to victory in his mind at least. But the big thing is Kambosos, before he won the fight against Teo, he was known in most boxing circles as the opponent. But you know, boxing is so great that the element of the upset is what makes the sport great. The guy that you didn't see coming emerges victorious in a fight that he was not supposed to win. So you got to give him credit, man. He went in there and he took down a monster. In Teo, you know, it may have been a split decision, whatever. It's a W, and he has all the titles. So he's talking big. And him saying I'm the A side and stuff like that, you know, it's you know, I don't expect boxers to have to be adept in business. You know, when Bernard Hopkins won the middleweight tournament, he was trying to tell Roy Jones, oh, you can't have 60-40 after the tournament, as if Bernard Hopkins sold any tickets prior to the tournament. It doesn't make you the A side that you have titles. Now, this is a different situation. Neither of these guys have headline pay-per-views, but I'm speaking from, you know, the American standpoint. I have no idea what Kambosos will be able to generate in Australia, being of the fact that he's their newly crowned unified world champion. I have no idea if the fight will be pay-per-view in Australia. So if it is, and he's the one driving it, and he's the driving force of the pay-per-view abroad, then yes, he can say, hey, I am the A side. But, you know, we only know what we know. But was I annoyed a little bit? Yes, but that's boxing. A lot of fighters talk a lot of noise. You know, I didn't really pay a lot of attention to it. I just chalked it up as gamesmanship.
Okay. All right. Lukey, what do you make of it? The attitude he was showing, do you think much about it? And if so, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I'm a little different because I know Dev, or I've been around Dev. I've been around George. George is really cool, man. George's a good guy. He works hard. He's like a guy who has a chip on his shoulder because people largely disrespected his whole career. Didn't really respect his journey. He had that tough fight with Mickey Bay. He had a hard fight with Lee Selby. A lot of people didn't take him serious. And I think that what people forget is when you get in there and you fist fight people, you're going to say things that are irrational because your occupation is crazy. Like what these guys do is not normal. So of course they're going to say things that are weird and not normal because it's like they're living on the edge the whole time. I mean, he won a big fight. He's living the highest moment of his life. Let him say whatever he wants. Now it's the time for him to be accountable. So he's saying all these things. And if Devin feels disrespected, it's a great opportunity for Devin to jump in the mix and to step on something, you know, lay down a demonstration. And if Kambosos is that guy, a Hall of Famer, then he needs to lay down his own demo and let people know what time it is for those and how they feel.
Well said. All right. Beeb, what are your thoughts?
Well, Kambosos was talking trash to Teofimo Lopez too, and he got in his head a little bit, and he saw how that worked well for him. So I think he's probably trying to do that to Devin Haney. Sees that Devin Haney's a young guy, and maybe he can rattle him because he doesn't have the experience. Is he the A side? Well, yeah. I mean, the fight's going to be in his country. The people in that stadium, in Marvel Stadium, are going to be there primarily to see him. Obviously, no disrespect to Devin. So he can say all those things, and I would agree with him that he is the A side. Whether or not that's going to matter come fight night, that's a different story. But again, you know, as Lukey said, he does have a chip on his shoulder because he was told that he was never going to be what he turned out to be. Right? He overachieved. No one thought he was going to be Teofimo Lopez. A lot of people questioned whether or not he would even become a world champion because the Lee Selby fight was, I thought, a lackluster performance. The Mickey Bay fight was a lackluster performance. So based on what he had done in the past, no disrespect, he wasn't setting the world on fire, but he set the world on fire in that one fight. Now the question's going to be asked, will he be a one-hit wonder or will he be able to defend those titles? But this is part of the course. This is what fighters do. As once again, as Lukey said, this is a fight. It's not hopscotch, so people are going to talk. They're going to talk trash. That's how it's usually done.
All right. How do you feel about it, Kenny?
I like it. It doesn't get me upset in any way. Maybe he is a little too aggressive, but as Lukey said, you know, these guys are in the sport of fighting. So you're not smiling at each other. You're going in there to beat each other up. So I get it. I just wish he turns the dial back a little bit and goes a little bit back to the funny trash talk. You know, the training, like the truthful but funny trash talk. Like, I've been training in the dark. Like, I'm not in front of the camera. I'm not in the media. And the whole chihuahua to the guy's father and all. You know, that's clever, funny stuff, but it's real. Like dude's father was acting like a chihuahua, barking in the back, but you know, so it's like factual but real funny stuff. And I just hope he turns the dial back to that type of trash talk, because as you know, as you see, D-Style didn't like it, and it is getting certain people annoyed that he is on his whole Emperor run, but I respect it. He may never get the shot again, and if he does, continued grace, continue doing your thing, talking your trash. I don't think he's like Chris Colbert. Chris Colbert talks a whole lot of trash, but he doesn't give me that feeling like he believes in himself like Kambosos does.
Well, look, man, if you're going to talk trash, all I know is this, okay? He was starting to get under my skin as a fan. Like he was kind of annoying me a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Like, and it wasn't like in a, like, oh man, like he's talking a lot of trash. It wasn't just a trash talking. Like, it was just a little over the top. The whole thing was over the top to me. The decision, I'm gonna pick these guys, I'm gonna go scout them, like really got to go to the fight to scout them. You got to go to the Devin Haney fight and watch it live and scout them, right? You're gonna go to Tank Davis's fight live to watch it, like if you're scouting the guy or something, you know. Like, I just thought that was over the top. It's just my opinion, but and I do feel he was kind of pushed a little bit to make this fight happen. Like, I don't think he wanted this Devin Haney fight. And because at first he was saying, oh, I'll fight you. After I beat Theo, it's on, right? And he promised him he'll fight him, and we're going to do it. And when Teofimo Lopez used the N-word, he said, oh, that, you know, I can't believe he said that, but don't worry, Haney, I'm going to beat him. That me and you are going to fight, right? And then it just became like this. And then he was doing the scouting thing, and it was the decision 2022, you know, like LeBron did back in the day, and then it was just being drawn out, and and maybe it was by design, but it was just drawing out too much for my liking. I'm just saying, like I don't think people are more excited about the fight because he kept telling people it was the A side. You know, I don't think that helped sell the fight. It's my opinion. Like, I don't know anyone that's like, man, fuck that fight, and then you know what? Now I want to watch it because he's talking all this shit. It's my opinion. It's whatever, right? But with that said, who's going to win this fight? Gail, to start with you. Who do you favor?
Well,
did the dog say Haney?
I favor Kambosos. I think when the roar of the crowd is heard, and believe me, he will fill that arena and he will sell those tickets. Australians are rabid sports fans and they are loyal. They'll be there. That's going to be a big audience. Haney is not at home. He's done the right thing to get over there. Hopefully he'll stay there, train, not be there at home too much. Pardon my dog. She's very excited about the whole thing.
She's excited about the fight.
I think it's going to be a lot. I'm also not convinced that Haney has the power, the raw power, that will push Kambosos back. On the other hand, we've seen what Kambosos can do. I'm not saying that Haney can't score a knockout or can't do damage, but that's not what we've seen in a lot of his recent fights. I think if either man is going to make a mistake in the fight, as fighters can do in the course of rounds, Haney is much more likely to pay a bigger price than Kambosos. And if that sounds like backing into my opinion, sometimes it is, you just start figuring out by default, what's likely to happen and taking out the options. I think it is also perhaps not going to be quite as exciting a toe-to-toe fight as people hope for, because I do think both of them will be careful, certainly early on. As to the trash talk, let me weigh in. Come on, you guys. The only woman on the panel saying bring it, more, can't be enough. If you listened to Kambosos doing interviews prior to the fight with Teofimo, you know, he was incredibly confident. I mean, to the point of just astonishment by most of the people interviewing him, saying, you know, really? You really think you're going to win that fight? You know, and he proved every single skeptic wrong. You know, he's earned it. And let's face it, you've heard the saying, it ain't bragging if you can do it. Now, he's going to have to do it, but he did it before. So he's earned the right to trash it up. Again, the Australian fans, I think they're going to love it. They're pretty rough and tumble crowd. And yeah, you know, this is not a tea party. It's boxing.
Man. And the dog let that exclamation point at the end too. Like, that's right. You know what I mean? So Kenny, talk to us. Like, who do you got in this fight, bro? Who's gonna win this fight? Don't lean on the fence now. Like, I don't want you on the fence now.
No. I'm gonna give you my breakdown right now. See, I got this at a 50-50 specifically because I think it all depends on what style Devin Haney comes into this fight with, right? If Devin Haney comes into this fight trying to knock him out like Linares and that whole, Devin Haney's losing this fight. If Devin Haney comes into this fight with his defensive style, coming in with the jab, 1-2, back out, Devin Haney's winning this fight. So it all depends on what style Devin Haney goes into this fight. I don't know that because I don't know Devin Haney. I'm not in his camp. I don't see him training. I don't know what they're talking about. So it's hard for me to pick. It's hard for me to pick right now specifically because of that. Maybe as we get to see a little more training, the time goes on, I could give a more educated pick. But what we saw in the last fight with him against Jojo and him against Linares and him trying to go for the knockout, that's going to get him a loss.
But we did get the answer to who let the dogs out? Gail did. You know what I'm saying? Lukey, who your favorite in this fight, bro?
So the way I'm going to look at this fight is real simple. It's skill versus will. So on paper, Devin has more skill, or he has more pathways to win, in my opinion. He has just athleticism on his side. He has angles and movement. That being said, I'm a bit biased because I've known Devin for longer than I've known George, so that's probably also my heart speaking there. That being said, Kambosos did something in his last fight, fighting Teofimo Lopez, where it's like what Tim Bradley did by beating Manny Pacquiao. He beat Godzilla. He beat the man that people said was this mythical fighter, and he stood up to him, and he had a fantastic boxing moment we're going to talk about for ages when he dropped him in the first round, and that's will. So this is will versus skill, because Kambosos is will and being at home with his people, that's going to be a different type of energy. And I think I'm going to basically give you a non-answer because I know both guys, but it's going to come down to how does Devin handle fighting someone who has tremendous willpower and has a whole crowd behind him, and how does he embrace that moment? Does the moment meet him, or does the moment take him over? And I think that will give you the answer for the fight.
All right. Okay. Ashi, who's your favorite in this fight?
Well, as I think about it, both of them have some things they need to overcome in the ring, and most wouldn't think that Kambosos have anything to overcome, being that he just overcame by fighting abroad and winning the world title. But I would like to see, how he behaves himself in front of that ruckus crowd that Gail was alluding to. Will it be the largest crowd he's ever performed in front of? A lot of guys absolutely freeze up when they're fighting in front of their hometown. Believe D-Style caught your show earlier, and you were talking about Zab Judah, and when he fought Baltimore, he fought him in New York and got his tail kicked. Could it be the fact that he was fighting at home? I don't know, but a lot of people can't do it. They can't fight in front of their home crowd. That's just one thing, which could be a possibility. The second thing, as far as Devin, is I have said this hundreds of times that his corner is inexperienced and weak. The reason why I said this, when you look at the Linares fight, and he got hurt against Linares, when he got back to the corner, his cornermen, all the seconds in the corner, none of them knew he was even fucking hurt. You know what I'm saying? Nobody could tell he was hurt. And that's detrimental, man. You need your coach to know exactly what's going on in the ring, or at least ask, how you feeling? Throw some water over his head. You know what I'm saying? Put some ice on top of him. Devin was almost, not almost, he was on Queer Street. Now he overcame and he got his wits about himself and he came back and won the fight and defended his title and stuff. But the inexperience in that corner really showed. And, you know, if he's in a similar situation with Kambosos, one could only fathom what the outcome could be if they aren't up on it. If Devin gets hurt again, he doesn't have the best chin. He was hurt a little bit against Jojo Diaz, but he fought like a true champion. He never wavered. He wasn't on Queer Street. He wasn't doing the stanky leg in the ring like he was against Linares. But I think the fact that he doesn't have a more experienced corner, you know, will play a role if he gets caught in that predicament. But just looking at it on paper, I do believe Devin has the best skills out of the two of them. He doesn't have big knockout power, but you don't need knockout power is just an attribute. Knockout power is not skill. You got journeymen that can fucking punch. When you go to the gym, you got guys who are bona fide bums, what we would call them in the internet world, but they're not bums. They're fighters, you know, the prize fighters. But they have very limited skills, but they can punch. You know what I'm saying? Devin has skills. Pernell Whitaker has skills. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to have the knockout punch. It's a plus if you can disconnect somebody with one, but it's not a prerequisite to being great. And if he stays true to his craft, he can outbox Kambosos. Now, will it happen? I don't know. But just looking at it on paper, I favor the young man to go in there and do what he can do. But, you know, how will he react when he goes abroad and fights in front of that raucous crowd that Gail was alluding to? He hasn't done that yet. Some guys, some of our champions have overcome in that situation. We'll just have, it remains to be seen if Devin will put his name with those guys as being able to do it. So,
well said, well said. Beeb, what do you favor in this fight?
I like Devin Haney big in this fight, really big. I just don't think that this is the style that is going to give him problems. Kambosos is a counter puncher. He's not a big puncher either. He didn't look great against Selby. He didn't look great against Mickey Bay. I mean, he did have a great performance against Teofimo Lopez. He's in great condition. He's got a lot of heart. But Devin Haney is really good at gauging distance. He's really good at punching and moving. And he's very disciplined. He's not going to stand there and slug it out with you, right? He's not going to get too emotionally vested in the fight, whereas Kambosos will get hit with a big shot. And he may try to get that shot back. We've seen him do that against Teofimo Lopez. And you have to ask yourself, and I hate doing this, but was that the best version of Teofimo Lopez? You know, was that Teofimo Lopez that was focused? Was he fighting the way he normally fights? Could he have done better? Could he have fought a different fight? A lot of woulda, couldas there. But again, I have to go off of what I've seen, right? And obviously the halo effect's going to be there with Kambosos because of who he just beat. But was he in the right place at the right time, right? Devin Haney, like I said, he's got long arms, and he did get hurt in fights, but he knows how to regather himself. He knows how to recoup. He knows how to come back. He's in great shape too. He's not a guy that wears his heart on his sleeve. If he gets hurt, he's not afraid to hold and slow the fight down. He's not afraid to try to get a second win, right? He's not an ego fighter. He's a cerebral fighter, right? Kambosos sometimes gets emotional. You know, we saw him and Teofimo Lopez kind of go back and forth there, and he almost got knocked out himself because he got too happy with the situation, right? He was having success, so he got a little too brave. Devin Haney's not going to do that. Devin Haney is never going to just stand in front of you and slug it out with you. He'll hit you with a good shot, and then he'll move his feet and make you follow him, and he'll counter you. So Devin Haney's a guy that can he'll fight you on the back foot. He can fight you on the front foot. He can be the counter puncher, and he can be the guy that can just measure you from the outside and just 1-2 you all day. And he's got a very, very underrated sharp left hook. He's got a very powerful left hook. Whereas George Kambosos, he is the counter puncher, but sometimes he'll get a little bit anxious and he will come forward and he'll take chances and he'll step in real hard with that right hand. But on those occasions, I think that Devin Haney will will slip that right hand and he'll counter over the top with the left hook. I think Devin Haney's going to put on a boxing lesson. I think he's going to put on a boxing lesson. I think he's going to win this fight probably like 9-3. And I just think the faster, the younger, just the more gifted fighter is going to win this fight. That's how I see it.
I want to say that Haney is going to, because here's my thing. I was very confident that Teofimo was going to beat Kambosos. Like, very confident. Like, I overlooked the fight. Like, I said, he ain't going to win. And I was obviously wrong, right? So that part of me is like kind of holding me back from giving such a confident take. But I do have to say I'm favoring Devin Haney pretty handily in this fight. I think Devin Haney should win this fight. The question is, if it's close, like if it's a 7-5 type fight, does Haney get the decision in Australia? I'm not sure. Like that's the thing that kind of gets to me. Another interesting aspect is, let's say Haney goes in there and just puts on a boxing clinic, just embarrasses him for like the majority of the 12 rounds. Like, will Kambosos exercise his rematch clause? I know he'll have a right to, but will he? So I think the aftermath of this fight is going to be just as interesting as the fight itself. So I'm looking forward to the fight. I think Kambosos is going to make it a fight with high volume, and I think he has to anyway, right? He's going to get countered a lot in this fight, but he's going to have to time Devin, and I think that's going to be the tough part about this fight. Okay. And there's a lot of people don't feel he could win a decision in Australia, but I disagree. I think if he wins clearly enough, he could win, but he's going to have to win he's going to have to win those rounds very convincingly, right? If any rounds are like, that's close, he's got to go in there with that mentality of like, that might be an L in terms of that round. But we'll see. Sometimes the boxing world isn't fair. But another fight that was announced this weekend, and I'm looking forward to this. This is a fight we have seen, all right? And that is Inoue and Doniare. Okay, we'll be rematching. Okay, Inoue, the fight's going to be June 7th. That does fall on a Tuesday, all right? So it's kind of like Tuesday Night Fights is back, I guess, right? I don't know what time it's going to play here, probably like early in the morning for us. But nonetheless, Inoue, Donaire, all right? It should be on ESPN from what I understand. All right, but let's go ahead and go around the panel here. But Lukey, what do you think about this fight, brother?
Oh, Lukey's taking a while to get back on. Good fight, in a way, is kind of like one of these mythical fighters of the internet, right? Where he's got this cult following. Kind of, if you want to like use hyperbole, kind of got like the Salvador Sanchez feel, where he's beaten a lot of kind of legendary fighters when people aren't acknowledging these fighters as legendary. Kind of also like looking at a mirror image of himself, right? Inoue and Doniare is basically what Inoue was 10 years ago, a big little man. And Vic Darchinyan was kind of what Inoue and Doniare became, big little guys that at these lower weights packed a massive punch. I think for Inoue, this is a massive fight because he found the man that wouldn't go down from his punch. And we've seen this with Berlanga and many other punchers. When the confidence starts to dwindle or the belief in the power goes, that's when the story goes wrong. Inoue has fantastic timing and speed, but he always has felt like a brutal knockout waiting to happen at a certain point when he tries his luck too much. I think this is a good fight because it's very telling of the trajectory of Inoue, who's someone who's very beloved to fight fans, but at the same time rather unestablished in America. So I think that if he were to beat Donaire again, who's an established fighter of the year one year and all types of stuff, that would be a big statement.
All right. Beeb, what do you think, brother? The fight's on? Are you excited for it? Or
This is a beautiful fight. I like Inoue and Doniare a lot, but I think he fought the fight of his life in the first fight, and he still came up short. And I think maybe Inoue was just a tad bit off. He had that injury to the orbital bone, and that could have threw him off a little bit too. I just have a feeling Inoue may just have one of these highlight reel type knockouts against Inoue and Doniare in this one. And I hate saying that because I'm a huge Inoue and Doniare fan. I really like Inoue and Doniare. He's a really nice guy. His wife's a beautiful person too. I've spoken with both of them and interviewed Inoue in the past several times. He's a great guy. But I just think Inoue is that special fighter. Everyone talks about the power of Inoue, but he's a really, really accurate puncher too. He knows how to thread that needle. You give him that little space and he will get that punch through there. And even if you don't give him that little space, he'll force it through your guard. He's just that explosive, that powerful. And, he mixes shots up very well. And he's a great body puncher. And he's a guy who changes levels too. So he'll squat down and you don't know if he's going to go to the bottom, if he's going to pop up and just shoot that hook upstairs, right? So he keeps his opponents guessing. And I think there's more to him than just the power, as I said. And I think Inoue and Doniare, this may be a bad night for him. I think I'm looking to see Inoue score a highlight reel knockout in this fight, probably in the 6 rounds.
Man, all right, Gail, how do you see this fight?
Well, I am psyched for it. I love it. May the best man win. So who's the best man, the crafty veteran or the young phenom? It's said that every veteran fighter, on the downward side, all of them have one last great fight left in them. So here's the question. Was the last fight Donaire's great last fight? Or is this one going to be his great last fight? Isn't that what we're all watching for? We kind of know what we're going to get with Inoue. Not 100% sure what we're going to get with Donaire. He's been such a surprise this last year. There's just, incredible gift to boxing and fans everywhere. He'll give his best. That is for sure. Whatever the outcome, he leaves it all in the ring. So that's not an issue. It's a big hill to climb. It really is. If he goes out, he'll go out on his shield. We'll all be wildly entertained. We're all going to be setting those alarm clocks, getting up, middle of the week, school night, all that. It's terrific. And, the Japanese fans are going to be very, very lucky to see this in person. And such a great boxing nation. They'll pull out all the stops. I mean, this will be headline news there for weeks. Nothing but good for boxing all the way around. I wish Donaire well. Would love to see the old man have one last blast. That's a completely emotional reaction. Let's see what we get from the fight builder.
All right. Nando Llamas, I got Eastbay legend Inoue Doniare by monster upset. Victor Archinian was scary dude at one time as well, he says. No offense to Victor Archinian, but he was known anyway. Okay, I'm just putting that out there. But here's what I want to say. All right. I'm going to respectfully disagree with G-Funk saying that Inoue has issues with defense, right? Now, obviously, does he get hit? Yes, everybody gets hit. However, let's just put it this way. If we go by that logic, then I guess Donaire has a bigger issue with defense because Inoue was landing on Donaire at a much higher percentage than Donaire was on him, right? So we have to kind of look at those things. You know what I mean? So that's all I'm going to say. I mean, Inoue was landing in the 40s and 30 percentiles, 40% in one round. The other rounds, Donaire was only landing in the 23%, 16%, 14% in another round. His highest was 30% in the 8th round, which is a big round for him. But it was mainly in the 20 percentiles. His jabs were at the 10 percentages, while Inoue was landing up to 50%, 37% on Donaire. And we go by power punches. And I get that, but this is an estimate, but still, it's pretty consistent. Inoue was landing, 30%, at one time, 50%, 57%, 41%. I mean, while Donaire was landing 20 percentages, he did land 50% again in the 8th round. That was a big round for him, and 30%, 20%. But my point is, if Inoue's got problems with defense, well, so I guess Donaire has a bigger issue with defense. He was getting hit a lot more, and he's the one that got dropped. He's the one that went down. He's the one that took a knee, and he had to survive a round. So all I'm saying is I'm not diminishing the fact that Donaire hit Inoue to me is not, that means Inoue has no defensive skill. No, that means that Donaire is good and was able to hit him. He just wasn't hitting him as much. And I do feel like this time, I get that he's making the weight, but at some point it's going to catch up to him. At this age, losing that much weight, the guys he's taking out, he's taking them out early. He's going to be taking the deep waters. I got Inoue stopping this dude, and with all respect, but 10th round stoppage. I think they're going to stop it. I think Donaire's killing himself to make this weight. He's disciplined and all that. I get it, but he's got to be killing himself to make this weight. That's what I'll say about that. Okay, Ashy, who do you got? What do you think about the fight, and who do you got in the rematch?
Me personally, I mean, I could pass on the fight. Maybe I'm alone on this, but when he first fought Donaire, I chose Donaire to beat him. You know what I'm saying? Because I was like, Donaire, he's fought all the way up to 26. He's naturally bigger. And at this lower weight, around 118 pounds, whatever Donaire hits, he's knocking it the fuck out. Excuse my language. And he did find Inoue's chin, and Inoue took those punches well. He may have got buzzed or whatever, but it wasn't enough to take him down. Now, granted, it was a great fight. It was a great fight, a lot of action, and the young phenom overcame. That's great, but that was 2 years ago. And I know since then, Donaire has taken down 2 undefeated fighters, but those 2 undefeated fighters are not Naoya and Inoue. Inoue is continuing to get better, which is freaking scary. Donaire's not getting any better. He's 39 years old. He may not be totally declined yet, but he's basically on autopilot before his inevitable decline. And the only thing that keeps him as a player at 118 pounds is the freakish power. He does not have the boxing skills he used to have. He don't move like he used to. He's not fluid on his feet like he used to. And a majority of his fights, he's throwing a jab, waiting to sit down on a counter left hook. Any experienced chief second can dissect these tapes and know what to look for. And I expect that to happen against Inoue, and he will dial up a combination and put this old man on his ass. To me, Inoue is better than any other bantamweight in the world. The only other fight that was available, in my opinion, for him was before Rigondeaux got beat in his last fight, which I didn't think he would beat. I mean, I didn't think Rigondeaux had a chance to beat him, but he was one of the last real names in that weight. The only fighter that's left is Casemiro. So I want Inoue to do what Neri just did. Go up to 122 pounds. There's a lot of dogs up there. You got Akhmadaliev. He has a unified championship. You got Stephen Fulton. He has a unified championship. And a lot of the guys in the top 10 will give you a good night of fighting. You got Reese Aline looking for a fight. Angelo Leo, he'll give you a good scrap. There's a lot of good fights to be made at that weight. You know what I'm saying? In case he can't just grow up and weight and knock off a champion right off the bat. He can go up and fight Neri. That was a fight we wanted at bantamweight for years. Me and D-Style, we have called for that fight for I don't know how long. You know what I'm saying? Now, granted, Neri's coming off a defeat against, a much bigger Brandon Figueroa, but Neri is still a major player in the sport of boxing. So that's what I personally wanted for Naoya Inoue, but I will take the fight with Donaire. I will take the rematch. Obviously, it's good business across the pond, as we say. It's good business over there. They're going to sell a lot of tickets. They're going to make a lot of money. So obviously the fight makes sense. But, it wasn't the fight I wanted. I think he's going to walk right through Donaire. I don't think the counter right hand is going to be there for him. Well, it may be there for him, but it won't be his route to victory. That counter, it didn't work the first time. So 2 years later, I don't see it being a path to victory. And Naoya anyway got so many tools right now. Freakish power, freakish speed, freakish timing. Nah. He's gonna knock him. He's gonna knock him out, man. It was a good run from Donaire, but it's over with. Period.
So you're not buying the whole he found the fountain of youth and he's feeling better than ever, and that's what he was saying. I found he feels better than ever, Ash.
Well, he got to keep the not necessarily the attention on him, but he wants to be considered, a top guy. He wants people to respect that he's going to give any of these guys a worthy challenge on fight night. And I agree. He will be a worthy challenge on fight night against most fighters at that weight because he's so much bigger and stronger than those guys. But when you're talking about Inoue, who is a legit pound-for-pound guy in his prime, there won't be a challenge for the 39-year-old Nonito. He's going to be a target. I mean, that's just my opinion. I could be wrong. You got 1 to 12 to get it done.
Now, just one more thing before I go to Kenny. I mean, look, in those weight classes, these guys are throwing a lot of punches, and Inoue gets hit less than the average. He just does. So I'm just throwing that out there. I don't think defense is his thing. Like, I don't think, of course, can he work on defense again? Of course. I just don't think he's exactly Alfredo Angulo out there just getting hit, or Kirkland just getting hit with punches. That's not what I see when I see Donaire. I'm sorry, Inoue. But Kenny, are you excited for this fight? Who do you got, brother?
First off, June is starting on fire because on the 4th, we got that Teofimo. Sorry, not Teofimo. We got that Devin Haney and Kambosos. And then on the 7th, we got Nonito and Inoue for the second time. It was so nice. They had to do it twice, as AJ once said in that disgusting rhyme because it wasn't so cool. But yeah, look, I'm excited for this fight. I think that Inoue is gonna most likely win this by knockout. I'm a big Inoue fan. I also agree that he should go to 122, but not just yet. See, I'll be thinking about the story behind boxers and their careers, right? So the story in my head, the story that I had written for Nonito to go out was, Nonito's not gonna fight Casimero for that other belt because they have that beef. So I wanted Inoue to fight Casimero, get that third belt, and then they do that clash for undisputed, which Nonito's gonna lose, but at least he gets to go out in an undisputed match, because that's the story I had in my head, but it didn't happen that way. And I think that the next moves for Inoue after he does win against Nonito, because I'm definitely choosing Inoue, the monster, because he is a monster. And his track work, you guys spoke about it all. I don't have to mention anything about his track work. You guys definitely touched up lovely on that. But yeah, I think that after Nonito, he should fight Casimero, go get that undisputed. You want your legacy, you want to stamp your legacy, and that will stamp his legacy. And then he could go up to 122. Like Ashley said, go to 122 and catch himself Fulton and Akhmadaliev and potentially become undisputed in 2 fights. I know there's a whole lot of contractual stuff and a whole lot of stuff that makes everything like this difficult, but these are the stories that I write in my head in the hopes of how I have boxing going, which they don't usually go my way. Those are my thoughts regarding Nonito and Donaire.
I haven't done this in a while, but anyway, moving on. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and proceed, everybody. Shout out to Inoue. I'm excited for that fight myself, but I think it's gonna be a good fight. But I think he's gonna get stopped. Donaire, that is. But hey, shout out if he pulls it off. He pulls it off. Tank Davis is in the news. Of course, we all know he's gonna be fighting Raleigh, and we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But he put out some tweets He put out some tweets saying, they're putting me in the ring with Raleigh because my contract is running up. And, no one from either side, by the way, Mayweather nor Tank have said this is the last fight, or I'm not going to return, or we're going to end. They're not saying any of that. However, in a Fighthype interview, Floyd did say nothing lasts forever. And I still have all the love for Tank, yada, yada, yada. Okay. But with that said, Beeb, what do you make of all this? Do you think this will be the end of Tank Floyd Mayweather, or is it just talk here? What do you think?
I think they're just trying to grab a headline. Obviously, that he does have that fight coming up, and he's going to try to promote it any way he can. And this is a good way to promote it. Come see me. This could be my last fight with Mayweather Promotions. Who knows where I'm going to end up next? You better come watch me now while you can. And like I said, I think this is just for hype. I don't think that he's going to leave Mayweather Promotions. I would like to see him leave Mayweather Promotions and probably go with Eddie Hearn, because then he'd be able to fight other guys. But that's just wishful thinking. I think he'll stay with Mayweather Promotions, and I think this is just much ado about nothing. And This is just a
Man.
little bit of clout chasing off of Floyd's name, I think.
Do you want Tank to stay with Floyd?
No, I don't. I'd like to see him go with Eddie Hearn.
Eddie Hearn, okay. More fights, better
More
fights.
fights,
For us, huh?
yeah. He could fight Ryan. He could fight Kambosos. He could fight Devin Haney. He could fight all those guys if he went with Eddie Hearn.
Okay. Lukey, talk to us. What do you make of it, brother?
I mean, I never understand this stuff, man. I never understand why people put emotions on the internet, why they put business out on the internet. You know, like the most annoying thing you can do is if you're trying to do a deal, why would someone go out and talk about a deal that's being done or anything? So I never understand it. So if I don't understand it, I have to assume it's either someone was frustrated and they got on the internet, or it's just a marketing tool. I mean, I like Tank as a fighter, but not unlike many of these fighters, they fight and then they disappear from my subconscious. They don't fight often. And most of people's relationship is through them on social media, and I don't always follow or see the stuff. So, I mean, I'm not the best person to ask about this. I'll tune in him when he's fighting, and I don't care when he's posting stuff on the internet because I'm doing other things. I don't really care what he has to say. I like when he fights.
So let me ask you this. Do you want him to stay with Mayweather, or would you rather see him with another promoter?
I don't
In your
care.
opinion.
Like, I mean, that's his money. If he doesn't want to make money, whatever. If he wants to make more money, I'm done investing any time into fighters where I have no financial backing.
Well, let me put it this way. Let's forget about the money. Do you think he could make better matches for you as a fight fan with other promoters?
But that's his decision. Like, I'm no longer invested in these fighters figuring out how to give me the best product. I'm not going to give them my energy unless they give me that or they're fighting. So the way that I've learned to try to get the best things I can get out of the sport is like, if you're not doing anything, I'm not going to pay attention and I'm not going to give you much stuff because you're not doing enough for me as a fan, for me that tunes in, pays a ton of money around boxing, which for the general public, for all of us, we watch more bad fights than we watch good ones. And I'm not going to sit here and negotiate or figure out a deal when he has people around him who are making a ton of money where that's their job. At a certain point, you just have to put forth a good product because we're competing against the NBA. We're competing against the NFL. We're competing against award-winning movies. And if you're not putting forth anything, whether it's influence into pop culture, whether it's a fight that gives me a spectacular moment, what are we really doing? And I don't need to hypothetically go, man, well, you could negotiate. If you're not doing it, you're not doing it. And I just flat out don't care.
So right now you don't feel at the moment that he's giving you the best possible fights, right?
I don't care. Like right now, I don't have a huge investment because I'm obsessed with world titles and guys walking up to a guy and saying, "You're the toughest dude. I want to sock you in the face." Because I came out of the boxing gyms, right? And when you're in the boxing gym, Beeb knows this. All people in boxing gyms know this. If you go in there and you get beat up, you want to punch the guy that beat you up, or you want to be that guy that beat you up. And I have trouble relating to these guys where it's all about money and there's not a bit of pride, because I come from that Andre Ward school of thought where they said, you got to fight Golovkin or Kovalev. And he said, okay, I'll fight both of them. And then he ended up fighting Kovalev. And it's at a certain point, you got to step up to these guys. And I get that it's about money and all this stuff. And he comes from a bad background. Hey, man, it's courageous what he's done and all that. That being said, at a certain point, if you're a superstar, you got to do superstar things. And superstar things means stepping up and putting forth the effort. And honestly, it's not even the promoter's fault most of the time. It's everybody's fault for enabling these type of things happening. Because if a fighter or a promoter says, we're getting you in with a good fight, guess what? The fights get made. It's quite that simple.
There you go. Hey, Kenny. So obviously Tank tweeted what he tweeted. You saw what he tweeted. You saw what Floyd Mayweather said or heard what he said. Do you think they're done, or do you think it's all publicity? And would you like him to leave for Mayweather Promotions?
I'll answer the second question first. I damn sure hope he's done with Mayweather Promotions and PBC and Al Heyman, and he's done thanking Al Heyman like everybody. I hope he's done with all of that, because that is all for finances. It seems like the money team is just keeping him safe for finances. So far, his fights have sold. I mean, I think the last one sold, I think the worst, or was it the Barrios? I don't remember. But so far, his fights have sold. They've made money off of keeping him safe. So if the formula is working for the money team, why not keep the same formula working to make money? At the end of the day, for PBC and the money team is about money. It's not exactly about doing making good matches and putting good matches out there for us, for the boxing fans. But I 100% hope that he leaves the money team and PBC, and it seems like it's for real for me. Just because the things that were said before the comment, he said something along the lines, sometimes you got to turn your dog up or be a beast, something along those lines. And it was a couple of tweets that led up to this. Then somebody comments to him telling him that he hopes he leaves the money team so that he can actually start fighting people. And then he responds to that, they got me fighting this clown because of the contract is up thing. Right after that, he tweets, they're gonna have me fighting such and such after this and all that. I think it's real. It doesn't seem like anything is fake. I also I don't see how this could get him any popularity. I don't see how this could be a clout chase move. Psyching people out that he's gonna leave Floyd Mayweather, and if anything, everybody hopes he leaves Floyd Mayweather. And if he doesn't leave Floyd Mayweather and he continues doing the same nonsense, I think he's just gonna lose fans. If you ask me, you see how Lukey said he doesn't talk about certain things like that he's not interested because it's not good boxing. He's not gonna support things that's not good boxing. My way of not supporting is not buying those pay-per-views. I haven't bought any of those last pay-per-views. I just really hope that he does sign with another promoter, because we all know Tank got the skills. It just seems like the more he stays with the money team, the longer he's just trying to make money. Seems like he's getting fatter, older, slower, sloppier. I think he needs to get to a real promoter and get back into training like he was before. When he became an actual champion for the first time with a real belt, not a secondary regular belt. Just my thoughts. I do hope he leaves the money team. Somebody said he should sign with Canelo's promotional team, and he said he's gonna stay independent. That's the last stamp on it that tells me that he actually may be leaving. He said he's gonna stay independent if he leaves Floyd Mayweather, and that he's not gonna go to Canelo. So he's thinking about going independent. I hope he does. I really hope he does.
All right. Ashy, talk to us, brother. What do you make of Tank's statements? You think he'll stay with Mayweather Promotions?
I got several schools of thought here. First, on Tank being disgruntled in public, that's something he should take behind doors and clear it up with his team. Number one. Number two, I don't think Tank really understands what was done for him in terms of being promoted. Like I said, I got several schools of thoughts. What Mayweather Promotion did for Tank, no other promoter can do. Hold your thoughts. I know y'all like, what the fuck? Listen up. This is what I mean. This is what Mayweather Promotion did for Tank. They didn't just promote Tank to the boxing audience. Tank was a lead up to a main event on several pay-per-view cards that went over 1 million buys. So they didn't promote Tank to the boxing hardcore. They promoted Tank to the buy-in public. And that's something that no promoter could do because no promoter fights. You know what I'm saying? That's just one thing. Now, where we get disgruntled with Tank and the money team is the fact that he hasn't fought the Lomas. He hasn't fought the Devin Haneys and this, that, and the third. When you look at his career, in my opinion, only way I get mad at it is his campaign at lightweight. I wasn't really mad about his campaign at 130 pounds. When you take down the former 4-division champion in Leo Santa Cruz and knock him out on a big stage, or you took down Pedraza, took down his undefeated record, he goes up in weight and gives Loma the business before losing, but he gave Loma a tough fight. So obviously Pedraza was somebody at those lower weights. Now, when you get to 135, it's a lot left to be desired. But when you look at the landscape at 135 pounds, Devin is just now fighting somebody. Ryan Garcia ain't fought dick. He ain't even won a world title yet. So the only people that has actually fought at that weight is Teo and Loma. So it's a lot left to be desired at 135 pounds, period.
Damn.
Now, given the fact that Tank is a quote-unquote pay-per-view star, I've noticed the parentheses. I mean, the quotes there on star. We expect our star fighters to make mega fights if you're going to charge the buying public for these marquee, quotes again, marquee fights. And we haven't gotten marquee fights from the money team as it pertains to Tank. It's just been money grabs. And a lot of people, especially the hardcore boxing fan, have been disgruntled. They don't want to pay for those type of fights. They want the bigger fights. So, the boxing fan has a lot to be upset about. But as far as Tank, his money is, if any of the other fighters in 135 had an opportunity to make the money that he's making, they would jump at the chance. But it doesn't do much for your legacy if you're not fighting the upper echelon guys within and around your weight. And that's what Tank's not doing. It just is what it is.
Hey, he said what he said, ladies and gentlemen. He said what he said. Hey, Man in Water, great roundtable. Fire. Hey, thanks so much for the support, brother. Much appreciated. 408 in the building from the shoe shine. Hey, talk to me, bro. What do you make of Tank, Dave? Is it much ado about nothing? Do you think he'll leave Mayweather Promotions? And do you want him to leave Mayweather Promotions?
Well, excuse me. Pardon me.
That's part of the act.
Yeah, it's part of the act. First of all, it's not beyond Floyd Mayweather to orchestrate a media grab like that, right? But this is coming from Tank himself. So is he finally disgruntled? I sure hope so, man. Because he's doing himself a disservice, ultimately. We know that if he had a chance to go solo, I think it would suit him best to emulate what Canelo's done, orchestrating this 3-fight deal with Eddie Hearn. But and if he can't leave and go over to Eddie Hearn, go solo and try to figure out how he can get against Top Rank's fighters at 135 and 140. Because the stable at Top Rank, it's the fights that you could devise there. You got Shakur Stevenson who could potentially move up eventually and meet Tank at 135. You can have Tank go for a championship run against the winner of Devin Haney and Kambosos. And if Tank really feels comfortable moving up to 140 again, hey, sky's the limit. Who doesn't want to see him fight Teofimo Lopez? He definitely needs to part ways with Floyd and be his own businessman at this point.
There we go. Gail, same question to you.
I am not sure this is as legitimate as some would believe. I think that there's a lot of testing the air. What way's the breeze blowing? I am not convinced that Tank is going anywhere. This is area. Yeah, I agree that he's getting emotional, airing out his grievances, but I think this is just like when a toddler tests a parent, They're going to push, they're going to see how far they can push that line, push, up,
Psych.
But Floyd has taught him well. Floyd has taught the lessons well. And, come on, folks. It's not named the Big Action Fights team. It's named the Money team. This is a job, right? To us, it's entertainment. These other guys, this is their job. This is what they do for money. We all work for money. If we're not lucky enough to be independently wealthy or not give a damn or live in your car, you all work for money. They fight for money. Their shelf life is limited, right? And while Tank may not be putting the pay-per-view numbers up, he puts butts in seats among fans that don't watch any other fighter. He has got credibility in entertainment arenas outside of boxing. That's massively valuable. Massively. Anyone who is only rating his worth by pay-per-views, very short-sighted. I just can't see Tank going anywhere. I think he's going to strain at the leash. And should he be doing it in public? All boxers are impulsive. All boxers are emotional. He happens to be at the upper end of the scale. So he's having it out in public. This is also a way for him. like a lot of formal companies pay for expensive survey research. He's doing it for free on Twitter. How does the boxing Twitterverse feel? How do the fans feel? What kind of chatter is he hearing? That's going to inform his decision.
Man.
I really can't see him going anywhere. And as for going solo, okay, that sounds great. You've got to then manage both your business side of your career and your athletic side of your career. You know, those are two really big jobs. You only need one, and it really should be the one inside the ring. He would have to assemble all of the advisors, all of the management, run a company. That is not easy to do. Yes, Canelo did it. Canelo is a very calm, controlled, older fighter. He's mature beyond his age, and he's been ready to get into business for a long time. Tank's not there yet. I mean, maybe he can do it someday. Not today. He isn't going anywhere.
All right. First of all, really quick, let me just give a shout out to the chat. Grievous, Nando Llamas, Lee Groves out there. Shout out to you, brother. Stiffen, shout out to you. Man in Water, G Funky, the Boxing Historian 206. Make sure you guys subscribe to his channel. Of course, Haplotype in the building. Racer Reporter Live doing double duty. A lot of you out there, man. Thank you so much for Grievous, of course. Also commenting in the chat. We appreciate your thoughts, of course, and all that. The Shushan, look at him. He's out there as well. All I'm gonna say is this, okay? I just want Tank to fight somebody, man. You know what I mean? Like I just need Tank to fight. The dude has not fought. Like, you could argue, I guess, maybe Pedraza, but who else has he fought that you could argue it was a top 5 dude in the division, like, ever? Who? And that's things I care about, right? And at the end of the day, I need to see him fight some of those top guys. That's just my opinion, but we'll see where it goes, okay? Now we're going to go ahead and do this, and I want to know what the chat thinks. Now, this weekend, now, it's going to be sacrilegious to a lot of boxing fans. I know, okay, because we don't watch wrestling, and you know what I mean? But let me remind you that Muhammad Ali watched wrestling, okay? Mike Tyson, he watched wrestling too. You know, he like Bruno San Martino, you know what I mean? So there's something there, that there's rings. But anyway, WrestleMania weekend, this weekend, right? So let's say, like, I remember one time De La Hoya said this. Now, obviously, this wouldn't happen. I know that, but you know, he said, "Oh, I want to create a WrestleMania for boxing. I want to make a big event every year." Okay, sure, but let's hypothetically say that you are a promoter, and you have free reign to do whatever matches you want, whatever fights you want. Okay. What's the venue that you would book it in? That's number one. Second, what is your main event? What's your mid card look like? And what's your opening match? Let's start with Kenny. Go ahead, Kenny. No hell in a cell. No hell in a cell.
I got you. Look, I had to research before this podcast. You know, I had to research what a WrestleMania schedule looks like, because I haven't watched wrestling in ages. Like, I couldn't remember what it was like. And when you said WrestleMania, I was thinking Royal Rumble, but that was not the case. So I do have a semi-detailed list, because I did it right before the show. For my main event for WrestleMania, I'm going to have Spence versus Crawford, because we've been waiting for that one forever. And I don't know if it ever will happen. And I've been wanting it to happen forever. Right under that, I'm going to have Canelo Beterbiev, because he is going to become undisputed at 175, and that is going to be the next fight that's signed. You guys just wait and see. Man. And it's an amazing one. It's a historical fight. And then the third fight would be another undisputed match, and that will be Usyk versus Fury. Those will be the 3 main event cards, right? Then I saw they had like the tag team champions, they had the women's champ, and they had the women's tag team champion. So I went ahead and I did some of those too. Unfortunately, I couldn't get in the women's tag team champion, because in women's rankings, it's very difficult to find like a lot of women that are good in the same division. You know, like the rankings are very spread thin. So I couldn't get no women's tag team, but I do have the rest of them. Here we go. For the men's tag team champ, we have Devin Haney and Teofimo Lopez versus Kambosos and Loma. Think about it. They both fought Kambosos. Haney and Teofimo both fighting Kambosos, and Loma's like the fourth guy who would fight anybody and is super respectful and doesn't have beef with anybody. So he'd hop on anybody's team. Then for women's champ, my match would be either Serrano versus Taylor or Shields versus Marshall. Both fights which are potential coming up on the horizon. Or this one, these girls are too young for it to be a main event. Well, Baumgardner and Michaela Mayer.
Okay. All right.
There we go for the WrestleMania.
Give us that like, everybody. Nando Yama says, great stuff, Kenny.
One last thing. Venue, Madison Square Garden. I'm from New York. I had to do it.
Who's going to sing America's Beautiful? Like, who do you got? You got to give me somebody.
I don't know. I just know that I won't have Michael Buffer announcing the fights. I'd rather have Jimmy Lennon Jr. Michael Buffer is not a nice dude. I tried to meet him in person, and he just said, whoop.
He don't got to be nice. He's so good at what he does. He don't got to be nice.
I don't care.
You know what I mean?
Showtime. Jimmy Lennon Jr., baby.
Man, you're not going to have Michael Buffer? Like, that's crazy.
No.
Because he wasn't nice to me. Look, what's going on over here?
He's an
asshole.
asshole.
Michael Buffer can do whatever he wants, bro. You know what I mean?
It's showtime.
Okay, but check this. Beeb, talk to us. What's your boxing mania?
It's showtime. All right, the main event is Fury versus Usyk. The co-main event is going to be Errol Spence versus Terrence Crawford. And then we're going to have Wilder versus Joshua. And the opening bout is going to be Tank Davis versus Ryan Garcia.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And the third fight is going to be Jamal Charlo versus David Benavidez.
All right.
And the venue, my favorite venue, I love this place. May not be everyone's cup of tea, but I love the MGM Grand. It's beautiful, that place. Nice and cozy in there. Not a bad seat in the house. AC. Beautiful in there. Good restaurants.
Okay, who's singing America the Beautiful? Who's going to sing?
Rihanna.
Okay, all right. He didn't even like hesitate, Rihanna.
I like Rihanna.
You know what I mean? It's Gail, talk to us. What's your boxing mania look like?
Gosh, I like some of those lineups already. I'm not going to reinvent the wheel. I do think you have to have a heavyweight in the main event. I think, for popular culture, you just do. But what you guys are all missing is the smaller divisions where a lot of the action is. And I say that you throw on there as the opener, Estrada Chocolatito 3, the fight we were denied, right, here a few weeks ago. Chocolatito looked great. I'm even more hyped for that fight. It is coming. Now, let's say, perchance, they've already had that fight by the time we get to our boxing mania. And let's say Chocolatito's the winner. You guys missed this in the earlier conversation. Inoue and Chocolatito.
Hey.
Crazy. I want to see that. That's what I want to see. Bring it.
I like it. Okay. Who's singing America the Beautiful?
Beautiful. I think you have Lady Gaga do it because you put it in Vegas at Allegiant Stadium and she has a residency there. So she's handy.
I got it. Okay. All right. Ashy, talk to us, bro. What's your boxing mania look like?
All right. So I was thinking Snoop Dogg is going to be the host, you know what I'm saying? The guest host doing the speaking because he'll have everybody cracking up, right?
Ring announcer or just the host? Broadcast.
He'll be like a guest color commentary, and of course he can get in the ring and talk, and bring out maybe one or two fighters for their match, and that's about it. But I was thinking, like, for an opening bout, I want somebody explosive. You know, because nobody pays attention to the first fight at fight parties. Everybody's talking shit and drinking and lying to each other. So I was thinking Jaron Ennis against Jamal James. A good step-up fight for Jaron Ennis as he makes his way towards a title shot. A fight that he could potentially look explosive.
Is that one of those old school, like when they go out the jobbers like that? Like one of those?
I mean, if we look at it, it would be the next logical step if he does not take on a champion. And it's an opening fight, so you expect the opening fight to set the tone for the rest of the night. Why not a brilliant knockout? That's how I would see the fight going anyway. After that, you'll have Ryan Garcia versus Teo. That would be a great fight. I would love to see it. I want to see, after that, Naoya Inoue against Stephen Fulton at 122 pounds. That would be a great explosive night. Jamal Charlo and Triple G. I've been wanting to see that for a while. That would be great. After that, you got Errol Spence and Terrence Crawford leading into the main event. Same thing Kenny said, Canelo versus Beterbiev at light heavyweight. But I forgot about Joshua and Wilder. That would be a great fight. I still want to see it. I don't need world titles. Just go to camp, put in the work, show up on fight night. That's all I need, man. Oh, and the venue would be Jerry's World, baby. I'm from Texas. That is a humongous stadium, bro. If you've never been there, it's like a little city.
But you're okay, all right. I like it. Okay. Big Dog Lukey, talk to us, brother. What would yours look like?
Okay, so in the theme of WrestleMania, any real wrestling fanatic knows it's a 2-night event. So we're going on and off card TV. We're doing this in Dubai where everyone is always fighting nowadays. So it's going to be on some weird stream in Dubai. Actress Rachel McAdams is going to be singing the national anthem, and we're giving her a puppy and just handing her a puppy. So she's going to be holding a puppy that we give her along with a paycheck. She's up there opening the card. Sandy Ryan versus Chantel Cameron. They don't like each other. Throw them in the ring. Let them fight. DeAndre Savage versus Jeremiah Milton. They don't like each other. Throw them on. We'll put it on a YouTube stream. Get them talking when they leave the ring. Brandon Lee versus Gary Antoine Russell rounds out our free card. Put them in there. Let's see who wins. Battle of the fittest. Starting our card, Arnold Barbosa versus Teofimo Lopez. Followed by David Benavidez versus Demetrius Andrade, and the headliner, Boots Ennis versus Virgil Ortiz, prospect versus prospect. Someone becomes a guy. That's the theme of the night.
All right. Okay, man. Okay. Is that just night one?
No, that's the show. That's the show. We don't, these other guys, they don't get to be on. So there we go.
There you go. Hey, Shoeshine, top that.
That's hard to top. Listen, first and foremost, it's going to be at the fight capital of the world. Absolutely. Allegiant Stadium. I've yet to see a fight there. I'm waiting for one to materialize. So it's going to be there. And everybody will be out there for Sin City. Okay, so let's get on to the opening card. This is a grudge match that's developing, and I can't wait to see materialize. Michaela Mayer and Alicia Baumgardner. Kenny put that one out there too. The second one is a future star versus a legend, living legend. And if I'm talking Bam Rodriguez, we're going to have it right now versus Chocolatito. Right now, we're going to find out if it's time to pass the torch. Followed by, and since you said this is wrestling, D-Style, there's always a lot of wrestlers that go on into their 40s and 50s. So in this case, I'm going to go with Gennady Golovkin versus Sergio Martinez because I always wanted to see that in their prime. Why not? So you could even fake that one if I don't care. But let's get on to the big dogs in the main event. The co-main event is, and you know what's going to happen at some point. It's Canelo Alvarez versus Artur Beterbiev. And only one fight could be bigger than that, and that's Tyson Fury versus Usyk. All on one night. My dream matchups.
Man. So I don't know about Gail's whole rule that the main event has to be a heavyweight, but I don't know about that. You know what I mean? But maybe a heavyweight name, which I will get to. Look, my opening match, would be a Chocolatito against Gallo It is a grudge match. We're going to put this like for no reason. It's not needed, but we're going to put a Hell in a Cell like over the ring. Like, you know what I mean? Like just like because that ends the feud. That's where you do like that's where you end the feuds. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. Okay, so and Gallo leaves Chocolatito bloody in the ring, Hell in a Cell style. Okay, that's how it started out. They're not going to use the cell for the boxing fight. We're just going to put it over just for the sake of putting it over. Like, you know what I mean? That's what we're going to do. And then of course my mid card would feature some heavyweights. Fury versus Usyk would be in the mid card. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be a mid card fight. All right, yes, Beep, it's going to be a mid card fight, but it's a great fight. You know what I mean? I'm just saying. AJ versus Wilder. Okay, a grudge match. Okay, AJ uses an egg weight to illegally punch Wilder and knocks him out. Okay, and wins that match. but nonetheless, no, actually, I think Wilder knocks him out. All right. So the 14 Inoue was actually in my mid card as well. Okay, but that'll be first, and then the heavyweights, right? Now, of course, the heavyweight, the main event of the night is going to be Saul Canelo Alvarez. Okay, he's going to be walking out. All right, and he's going to be fighting. By the way, he's going to walk out with Bridger Walker by his side. Okay, they're going to walk to the ring together. The little kid, Bridger Walker, the kid that saved his sister. Okay. Okay, it's Oscar Rivas for the Bridgerweight Championship of the world. And when Canelo wins, BoxingMania will end with Bridger Walker over the shoulder of Canelo while he holds the Bridgerweight title. And the fireworks go off, ladies and gentlemen. They're just going to go off. We're going to do the fight in where should we do this fight? I haven't even thought about that, actually.
Azteca Stadium.
Yeah, Azteca's a good call. Azteca Stadium, fireworks going off, different colors. Like some of the fireworks look white in the middle, green, red. It looks like the Mexican flag, like all the fireworks. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about, okay? Okay, at the end of the day, and we'll get Beyonce to sing the national anthem, and then we'll get some Mexican actors to sing the Mexican national anthem. There you go. That is the best. Isn't that the best WrestleMania? I'm sorry, BoxingMania?
Nobody had a tag team?
No tag teams, brother.
There was one name I didn't hear, though.
Oh, Crawford?
Katie Taylor.
Yeah, well, you know, maybe they could put Brashelt in there with Jake Paul. You know, just see what happens.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But anyway, that's that. Let's go ahead and proceed here, guys. I want to talk about something that's a little serious and something that I've actually been paying attention to a little bit. Look, for those that don't know, all right, Ramirez and Catterrall actually put the stories on Boxing Scene. If anybody wants to check it out, they actually put, you know, they're protesting. They put an official protest for their positions with the WBO. Okay. Where they're ranked, because they ranked Teofimo over them. All right. Teofimo's ranked number 2. And I guess they have an issue with that, which is understandable. One's a former champion and one like just fought for the undisputed championship. And some feel he won. Right. So in my opinion, those guys should be 1 and 2. Right. It's just my opinion. Right. And just as a quick side note here, just so for anybody wondering, Catterrall just fought Josh Taylor. Most feel he won, right? I think it's fair to say that is a spiritual effort, right? Suleiman and the WBC had Yildirim as the mandatory because he put up a good fight, or they felt like he was winning before the fight was stopped or whatever against Anthony Durrell, right? Coming off a loss. And he stayed like that for 2 years. He was actually the mandatory for Benavidez. And even after Benavidez lost the belt to the Scales and Canelo fought the vacant belt against Smith, he remained the mandatory. He ended up getting his fight, right? You would think that same logic would be applied for Catterrall. Like if Suleiman wants to, that's a precedent he sent. He made, right? Now, I get they could do whatever they want, but that's just something that I found interesting. But that's the WBC. The WBO side, I mean, I think there should be 1 and 2, him and Ramirez. But nonetheless, is Catterrall getting shafted here, Beeb?
I think he is. I've never been a big fan of just having a guy be ranked number one if he's never fought in the division. Now I can see that WBO rule. I know that if they elevate someone as super champion, if they move up, then they have the right to fight for a title at the higher weight class. I don't necessarily hate that, because usually when you elevate someone to a super champion, they're a great fighter. Not to say that Teofimo Lopez isn't a very good fighter, but I just don't think he deserves the slot. I think Jack Catterrall should be number one, and I think Ramirez may be number two. And then if you want to throw Teofimo Lopez, 3, 4, or 5, I don't know, but he's coming off of a loss. We don't even know his state of mind right now. We don't know if he's going to even be a force at 140. But now he's in position to fight for a vacant title if Josh Taylor moves up to 147 and he's coming off of a loss. I don't agree with that. I think Jack Catterrall and Ramirez have a legitimate beef with that. And let's see what happens. I don't think anything will change, but let's just wait and see, I guess. That's all we can do.
Well said, well said. And Nando Llamas, I appreciate it, brother. He says, Canelo going to be dressed like the $1 million man. Payday, payday, payday. Everybody's got a prize. Ha, 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 ha. I'm just saying, payday. Hey, thanks so much, brother. Hey, Ashy, this whole situation with Catterrall, man, like, what do you make of it?
Well, the element of fairness is not always in play in boxing. I mean, these sanctioning organizations have their rules, but they're going to do whatever they need to do as it benefits their not-for-profit corporation. And, if they can bend these rules, not bend them, but go around them to where it will suit their own agenda, then that's what they're going to do. Now, granted, Catterrall got shafted in the fight with Josh Taylor. It is officially on the books as an L, and he's currently ranked number 3. I've seen guys lose a title fight and go on the lower part of a top 10. So he really didn't get shafted. Now, if I was him, I wouldn't have waited a month later to wait and see how Teo is going to be ranked before I protested to the WBO. If I was Catterrall, I would have been talking to the WBO supervisor right there on fight night. I would have been in his ear. I would have been telling him, look, you saw the fight. I know you're going to write your report to the WBO like you always do. You have 2 eyes. I got shafted tonight, and I will be filing an appeal on this fight. I want an immediate return. I would have been barking right to him, and then I would have sent my grievance to the WBO immediately after the fight. I wouldn't have waited a month to watch somebody else get ranked to cry foul, because the element of fairness does not happen in the sport of boxing. That's just number one. Now, if anybody has a real claim to be ranked high, it's Jose Ramirez, because he was a unified champion. He lost the fight, and then he fought the number 5 guy in the WBO as a return match, and he won the fight. And this was after his loss. He's not coming off of a loss, and he fought a top 5 guy in the weight in Pedraza. He was ranked number 5 at the time that Ramirez fought him. So he has a legitimate right to be ranked number 2 in the world, if not number 1, because he was a champion. Now, I've seen guys like, who were champions before go up in weight and immediately be ranked number 1 or number 2, number 3. I've seen that too many times. So it didn't surprise me that Teo has this ranking. But I'm not going to be upset about it or, cry foul and stuff like that, because I don't know the actions that Team Catterrall took after getting shafted in that fight with Josh Taylor. Because at the end of the day, like I said, if I was Catterrall, I would have been in that supervisor's ear. I know you're going to write a report because that's what y'all do. You got 2 sets of eyes. There was foul play here. I will be filing an appeal. I need y'all to get to a committee, and y'all need to vote on a resolution for this ASAP. And if he didn't do that, then, you need to be happy with the number 3 slot. It is what it is. Boxing is unfair, man. It's just what it is. If WBO is not breaking their own rules, there's nothing you can do about it. Either the president is going to look at the appeal and think it has merit, or he's going to ball that shit up and throw it in the trash and keep it pushing. That's just the sport of boxing, bro. It is what it is.
Damn. Racer Report Live, Lou DeBello. Fairness does not exist in boxing, quote unquote. Man. Well, there you go. Lukey, what do you make of this, man? This whole Catterrall situation?
I mean, people always talk about fair or what did you earn? You earn the situation you get in boxing. And that's why people get bitter in boxing. And that's why a lot of old fighters leave the sport and don't talk. Because by the time you get to like a great career trajectory to look at is Errol Spence. He chased everyone, and now people think Errol's avoiding everyone. But really, it took Errol a long time to get to where he's at, and he's just trying to maximize his profit before he goes for whatever legacy he's going to go. I say all that to say, look at Catterrall, but also look at Arnold Barboza. Barboza, no one is showing any respect to Barboza, and what is he doing? He's beating top-ranked guys. He's the only guy in the top 10 that's never fought for a world title, and no one's even bringing up that it's an atrocity that he's not getting a high ranking. We just need more logic to it. But I guess what I'm saying is I wish there was more fairness or more sport. It's very simple. Oftentimes, the guys that make the most money get the most opportunities. And it's not really hidden from us. We know what it is. We try to lie to ourselves. So if that's the system, at least give guys like Catterrall the fight with Barboza or another known fighter, so we can at least get opportunities for these guys to maximize their dollar, bring in more money, and then fit into this system, because that is the system.
All right. 408, how are you feeling about it, brother? You think one of these sanctioning bodies should make them a mandatory?
Absolutely. You know, he was just referencing Arnold Barboza. He was one of the first people I saw when that WBO revised list came out be very, very vocal. And I had to go and look at that thing. And it's an atrocity that Catterrall, but even more so than Catterrall, who just lost on national television, is Jose Ramirez that you guys brought up. He had 2 belts. He lost to the champion, but he had 2 belts on his own. He should be above Catterall. And Teofimo Lopez lost all his titles at 135 pounds. How is he above those guys? It just, not only does it not make any sense. The other day I was saying, look, the Muhammad Ali Act left, it's criticized a lot, but it left the sanctioning bodies a lot of wiggle room to manipulate and have a lack of transparency on how they do their ranking systems. That's one area that needs to be reformed. It allows them to manipulate it, like most of you guys have said, so they can put their best interests ahead of the fans' interests. It's disgusting, to be honest. Yeah.
All right. Gail, how do you feel about all this?
Well, you may not think it makes sense, but it does. It makes dollars and cents. The sanctioning bodies make their money from the purses. They get the percentage. The bigger the purse, the more money they make. Hello, follow the money. They're ranking the fighters according to how much will keep them in business. That's it. The good news is, for a lot of fans, they don't care. They really don't care. And increasingly, not a lot, but by baby steps, you do start hearing fighters saying, you know, they want to screw me over, I'll drop the belts. Once they've had some belts and they've got some pull, they do. I agree that in no way should Lopez be ranked higher. I would put Catterrall first, frankly, and I would do it in part as a bit of a peace offering for what happened in his last fight. You know, it's sort of a consolation prize, but that seems to me, maybe it's the wrong place to do it, but it's the right thing to do. I can't say I was very impressed with Jose Ramirez. He lost in a more definitive way when he lost his belts than Catterrall lost to Taylor, if that makes sense. The performance of Catterrall in his loss was stronger than Ramirez. It's probably a better way to put it. But come on, folks. This is what these sanctioning bodies do, and it's never going to change. If this is the way the sports run, you make your peace with it.
Man. Hey, Kenny, I need to ask you a question. Mauricio Suleiman he say that, what's his name? I forgot his name. Yildirim, we made him a mandatory because of the spirit and the emotions he showed in the fight. Great performance against Anthony Dirrell. Fight he could have won if not because of the circumstance. That's why we made him a mandatory. Should I make Catterrall a mandatory? What do you think?
Man, look, my opinion is that this is extremely terrible for boxing, and Gail just spoke facts. It's a big part of this is money. It's probably all about money. WBO gets 3% of the fighter's purse. The more popular the fighter, the higher the fighter's purse is. 3% of $1 million is $30,000. So think about if they get themselves Tank Davis as a WBO 3% top dog to fight, they're going to get 3% of whatever amount of millions Tank Davis is making on his fight. So this is definitely all about money. Who's Catterrall? Catterrall's the guy that us as boxing fans know beat Josh Taylor. The regular individual in the street doesn't know a damn thing about Catterrall. Catterrall could walk down the street. Nobody know who that man is. Teofimo Lopez has a bigger following than Catterrall. He has a bigger following than Ramirez. It's unfortunate for those guys, but having a bigger following means you have more viewership. Having more viewership means you command more fans to come watch you. You command more money. You command more money. These guys want to rank you higher. But it's complete bullshit. Teofimo Lopez should not be ranked that high. He's coming off a loss. He's not coming off a win. If he was coming off a win and he decided, yo, I won, I can't make this weight no more, I'm out of here, I'll catch you guys later, take them belts. Okay, cool, rank him at the top. He's coming off losses. It's a joke. It's disrespectful to the hardcore boxing fan. It's disrespectful to the regular box. It's disrespectful to fans, period.
Yeah.
In my opinion, we definitely need changes. And what I think could bring changes is if boxers followed an example of the NBA and made a boxers union and said, we ain't fighting for shit. We ain't giving you no 3%. We need changes or you're not having no boxing shows. A boxing fighters union, something like the NBA did. That's how the NBA started making changes when they made the NBA players union. So that's it. That's all I got.
Teresa D, I appreciate it. She's HCP, keep it boxing gloves. I appreciate it. Much respect. Thank you for the support. Shout out to Broadway Joe, by the way. Everybody subscribe to his channel. A lot of great interviews. The voice of Dominican boxing. Everybody, go ahead and subscribe to his channel. Here's my thing. I get all the point, and I'm not asking for somebody to make sense of this. A lot of it doesn't, like, they make it up as they go. I already know that, but I don't know. Yildirim was like this household name that like got to get a mandatory spot, and held for him for 2 years, and even got a Canelo fight out of it. This shit's crazy, bro. But Catterrall can't get one of those vacant belts, a shot at it. You see, this is like the problem. Like, there's no consistency. And I don't know, like, obviously I get it. Okay, we're jaded and we know there's nothing that's going to come about it, but I got to rant about it anyway. It's like therapy. You know what I mean? So it is what it is. Anyways, guys, Usyk. And Chad, let me know what you think, by the way. Usyk is going to be leaving Ukraine. If he hasn't already, I don't know if he officially has left already or not, but he's going to be, or he already has. Okay. No one's giving him a hard time that I see. Vitali gave him his blessing, say, oh, it's going to be a great symbol and whatever he said, right? I'm excited. Usyk, Joshua 2, okay? Now, here's my question. Now, there's no way to know. I get that, okay? But we can guess a little bit. How's Usyk's mind going to be with everything that's going on in Ukraine, if it keeps happening? And where is Joshua here? Like, who has the mental edge going into this fight, number one? Okay, second, all right, who do you favor in the rematch? Who do you think is going to win? Big Dog Lukey, assuming the fight happens, I'm pretty sure it will. Who do you have winning the fight, and who do you think has the mental edge going into this fight?
I mean, the fight's fairly simple unless Josh. I mean, the fight just basically looks like Joshua runs his own camp because everyone with half a brain realizes if you're the bigger, stronger man and you're fighting probably the best cruiserweight ever, probably better than Evander Holyfield, why are you going to try to box him? Right? Because Anthony Joshua struggles transitioning offense into defense, defense into offense. He's somewhat robotic. You can tell he came into the sport late. He's got great physical gifts. He's very strong, but he's not someone where I look at him. He reminds me more of Frank Bruno than he does Muhammad Ali, if we're being honest. That being said, he's been created to be this guy that's like a Sugar Ray Leonard in the UK, where there's a lot of excitement around him, if you grow up in this era as a young person, you're going to be very fond of the memories he's created. In a weird way, he's surpassed Lennox Lewis as a star, but he's nowhere near the level Lennox Lewis was as a fighter. So I say all that to say Usyk is a problem for everyone because he's just very composed and he knows who he is. And I think that's kind of like the hardest thing as a person, right? To be able to live within our means. And Usyk is fine fighting the type of fight he fights, and he's consistently beating people in their hometowns. So, I mean, you have to favor Usyk. I think the curveball is there's a major war going on between Russia and the Ukraine. Usyk is leaving his country to fight Joshua more than likely. And does he have any form of strain or is there any blowback from that goes on him? Because I think that Joshua, maybe he'll finally listen and come forward and realize he's the bigger man and fight more like Chaz Witherspoon. But what he's shown is Joshua's going to fight however he feels like it. He's not going to listen to other people. He's going to do what he feels he wants to do. And Usyk is the more talented fighter. They won golds at that Olympics, and it's pretty clear Usyk is more talented than him out of the 2 gold medalists.
Well said. Gail, same question here.
Absolutely agree with Lukey. Usyk is the more talented, and Usyk is going to be fighting for his people and his country. What could possibly be more motivating than that? I mean, unimaginably so. And let's think about Usyk's mindset. Usyk's a very unique personality in boxing. He is an extremely devout religious man that informs a lot of what he does. You know, it seems an odd juxtaposition given the sport. That man truly has faith with a capital F. Joshua, you know, he boxes because he's intrinsically skilled, but sometimes the naturally talented athlete doesn't get as far as the guy who has to work his ass off, but has the work ethic to do it. Because that's the person that's going to put in the time to make it happen versus somebody like Joshua who just gets along well on his skills, his natural skills, until he runs up into a guy willing to outwork him in the gym. And that's Usyk. Layer on the other factors I just mentioned. I just don't see this fight going all that much differently than the first one. Doesn't mean I don't want to see it. But I think if you liked part 1, you're going to like part 2.
All right. Shoeshine, who has the mental edge going into this and who do you think's going to win?
The mental edge is going to go in favor of Usyk again. He's a complete road dog who became undisputed cruiserweight champion of the world by traveling to everyone else's hometown. And I don't think anybody here would expect if the Philippines was in a war against a much larger Asian country, that the people of the Philippines would expect Manny Pacquiao to get in fatigues and lead a combat battalion. You know, what he does in the ring globally, what he does, that's his battle. And that the same goes for Usyk. For him to get into the ring and represent Ukraine and the great people of Ukraine in a David and Goliath like story, fighting the naturally larger athletic athlete in Anthony Joshua, that's a David and Goliath story. And he exceeded expectations the first time, and I expect him to do equally well the second time. The mental edge goes to the guy who's repeatedly shown it that he can fight under those conditions.
Fair enough. Joe Beef, sent to you, brother.
The whole thing with him going to Ukraine, I think that this is going to inspire him. I think he's going to make him fight harder. I think he's going to use that and try to inspire, the Ukraine people through his boxing, right, and through this fight. And I don't think that you're going to see an Andrew Ruiz moment from Alexander Usyk. That's just not going to happen. He's not going to come into this fight weighing 280 pounds. It's just not going to happen. I think he's going to be in great condition. And
he's not into tacos if they take it to him.
No, that's not going to happen. So as Gail said and as Dave said, and I think Lukey said the same thing as well. He's just a more skilled guy. And we did see, if you look closely in the fight, Joshua did try to change it up in rounds 5 through 8, and he did try to step to him. But then Usyk made an adjustment, and he was stepping around him, right? And he started stepping around him and throwing the right hook, and then dropping down and going to the body. So we saw Joshua try to be the big man in the middle rounds, but he couldn't do it because Usyk wouldn't let him. So this all boils down to the guy that has more ways to win, the guy that has more tools in the toolbox, the guy that has more weapons in his arsenal, and that's Alexander Usyk. Simple and plain. He took some great shots from Anthony Joshua, and Anthony Joshua busted him up a little bit, but he was able to come back from that, right? Joshua was not able to put shots together. He'd land one and done, and it's not going to be enough against this guy Usyk. So I think it's going to be a more one-sided fight this time around. And Anthony Joshua seems like a guy who just doesn't have it all together right now. Still looking for trainers and moving around. And I don't know, man. He just looks like he's too happy right now. It looks like he's having fun. I'm not saying he's not going to train and get in shape, but mentally, I don't think he's going to be able to rise to this occasion. I just don't think it's going to happen.
Man. Ashy, same question to you, brother.
I read online that Anthony Joshua said that he's tired of being in the losing business.
That's right.
Or something like that, right? Well, I think he got one more loss to take before he can officially be tired of it, because the mental edge is going to go on the side of the champion. Why shouldn't it? He went into the ring with a substantially bigger guy who was a champion and outboxed him for 12 rounds and took his title. You know, the pressure is not on Usyk. All he has to do is go 12 rounds and make a solid defense of his title with a guy he knows already. He knows him in the ring from being in there for 12 rounds and outboxing him. The puzzle is for Joshua to solve. I honestly did not think that Usyk's southpaw style would give him so much trouble, being of the fact that Joshua absolutely obliterated Charles Martin. You know, that I mean, now granted, I'm not saying that Charles Martin has the skills of an Usyk. I'm just talking about fighting a guy looking at a left-hand dominant fighter. But Usyk is not like most southpaws, especially most southpaw heavyweights. This guy has real boxing skills. He was picking Anthony Joshua apart. He was choosing his shots well. He was moving. He's a true southpaw. He was circling to the right behind his right jab, and when he did circle to the left, he was circling out of punching range. That is textbook southpaw fighting. And you know, when Usyk went up in weight to heavyweight, my biggest thing that I had for him is, how is he going to do against substantially bigger guys? Well, 3 fights in, he's world champion. I think we have our answer, because the times that Joshua actually landed flush against Usyk and hurt him, Usyk, he didn't get on his bicycle. He just stayed out of punching range until he gathered himself and he went right back to work. This guy's a smart fighter. I expect him to go in there and do it all over again, man. It's just how I see it. I don't think the war will be on his mind heavy, at least during the fight. But before the fight and maybe afterwards, he'll think about it again, because this is home country. But when you got a guy that's trying to tear your head off in the ring, you better focus on that guy that's looking at you, because he's trying to kill you right then and there. You don't got time to worry about anybody else. You better worry about the guy that's looking at you as an enemy between 1 and 12, because he's not coming in there to play hopscotch. Punches hurt, punches will be thrown, punches will be landed, if he can survive the big shots, he will win again. That's just how I see it.
Kenny, what do you think, brother? How's this rematch gonna go?
Well, I think that Usyk is a very pensive and controlled dude. You know what I'm saying? He's very stable in his head. He's very mentally stable. He's at war right now. He's gonna go from war, from shooting guns. He's gonna come to the ring and he's gonna be shooting these guns. All right, and he's gonna cause damage with those guns in combination. Not these one shots, whatever that AJ. He's gonna cause damage in combinations. That machine gun is gonna be letting off. And no, I don't think he's gonna lose any focus because of the war. If anything, the war is gonna have him more focused, more serious, that more like, yo, I'm here for business. I'm not here for games. I'm coming out of war. I'm coming to fight a war, and I'm going right back to war. I don't think it's going to make him lose focus anyway. And unfortunately, I don't see AJ looking any better or any different. I would have expected AJ after that last loss to immediately go back into another training camp with another coach that's going to teach him something different, or have him go back to the guy, the AJ that was the champ, the AJ that we all miss. I was expecting that. I was not expecting a dude to go on his world tour vacation, trainer selection bullshit that he's doing, and to have, I think, Angel Fernandez, his assistant, become the head coach. No, that's all foolish clown stuff to me. If he doesn't get in the gym ASAP with a very serious head coach trainer, he's losing this fight badly. And I feel bad for him because I really like Anthony Joshua.
Man, let me say this. I think AJ is too deep in his career to be having an identity crisis, which I feel like he's having right now. He does not look like a confident fighter. He didn't show any confidence in the Usyk fight, and that I believe that's why he lost. Okay. However, and I don't like his I can't say whether or not his former assistant, now head trainer, is a good trainer. I don't know, but I find it strange that you want to leave your head honcho and you stay within the team and just upgrade your assistant. I'm not feeling that. Like, it might work out for him. We'll see. Now, I don't want to count AJ out because at the end of the day, he could crack. At the end of the day, he did cut Usyk pretty bad, and if he landed a couple more punches there, that could have been a stoppage on cuts, right? But Usyk pretty much knocked him out at the end of that fight. He barely survived by the skin of his teeth. Okay. But I will say this. I just think it's an X factor. I don't know how Usyk's going to come out of this ordeal. I don't know if he's going to feel that pressure. Like, oh, I got to win this for my people. If I lose, man, I'm going to let everybody down. Like, that's like real pressure. You know what I mean? And if it could be a positive thing, it could be a negative thing. We just don't know. Right. But I think Usyk will likely win this rematch. I'm looking forward to the fight, though. All I will say is going into the first fight, I was the guy telling people don't overlook Usyk. Okay, this dude has a shot to win, and nah, I don't think he's gonna win, right? And now I feel like people are overlooking. Okay, the other way around, I believe. Okay, so I'm just saying it is a heavyweight division. Anything could happen, right? With that said, guys, we have gone over everything. Lukey, what you got going on right now, brother? And where can people follow your work and all that?
ITR Boxing. I got a Substack. I got a Twitter. I don't know. If you like me and you figure you type in Lukey and boxing, you should be able to figure out how to find where I am. There you go. There you go. Everybody follow the Shoe Shine Boxing. Also at the Real KO Kenny, man. Make sure you follow him. Ashley Knuckles, you can find him at A Puncher's Chance. And of course, Habib every Sunday, ringside reporter. This is D-Style Boxing. That's the show, guys. I'm out. Peace. Keep it boxing.